Okay, so the 24th one. Consider the following statement about compilers and interpreters used in programming languages. Right? So here it says compiler interpreters are not required to execute a program written in assembly language. Compilers, interpreters are not required to execute a program written in assembly language. Now, as we know, when a particular program is written in assembly language, we need assembler to execute that in a particular machine, right? Because assembler is the assembler is the translator, which converts the assembly language into the machine language, right? So it says compiler or interpreters are not required to execute a program written in assembly language. Yeah. Regarding the compiler and interpreter, yes, we need an assembler, right? So because of that, we can take this as an incorrect one, right? And then compilers are not essential to execute a program in machine code. Compilers, I'm sorry, this is not wrong, this is correct. Right? So in part B, it says compilers are not essential to execute a program in machine code. Compilers are not essential to execute a program in machine code. That is true, because when a program is in a machine code, we don't need anything to be converted, right? We don't need any translator because it is already in machine code. So that one is correct as well, right? And in part C, it says an executable program is translated into a source program by a compiler. No, it happens the other way around. Source program means the code that we are developing using a particular programming language, and it will be converted into the executable program or the machine code or to the object code by the compiler or the interpreter, right? So this is wrong. So the correct one is going to be A and B only, right? For the 24th, it's the fourth one. Let's check it with the marking scheme as well. Yeah, 26th, it's the fourth one. Right, so yeah, it is the 2016, so it is the fourth. We are talking about 24th, Nedala. Hold on. There is a problem. 24th, they said it's the second one. They take B only. Compilers, interpreters are not required to execute a program written in assembly language. Yeah, it's the assembler we want. A can be taken as a correct one, right? Later they have this argument like compile. The assembler is kind of a compiler. A කියන base එකේ ඉඳගෙන බැලුවොත් statement A එක incorrect කියලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් we learn about the assemblers, right? So in that we can take fourth one as the correct one, right? So if you take B only, still you can have the marks, and if you get A and B only, take the marks, people, right? It doesn't matter, right? And I'll go through that assembler versus compiler and interpreter, whether any changes has happened, right? Then I'll confirm. For the moment, you can take both the answers are correct. right? So it is either the second one or the fourth one. Right. So the next question. Oh, the next question is 27th. So it is talking about employees of modern organization performs their duties from home. Yeah, now this is which of the following best describe the above statement? This is what we call telecommuting, right? It's better you learn the term from the paper. It is called telecommuting, right? So that should be the answer for the 27th, telecommuting, right? It's a pretty straightforward one. Like working from home is abbreviated as telecommuting. Right, then the 31st. Okay, so in 31st, it is asking consider the following Python statement. And people, if you want to discuss anything in between, just let me know, right? I'm going through the numbers that you have given me last week, right? So the 31st, consider the following Python statement. They got a particular list called temp, and it has 23rd, 45th. Sasita, you want 29th. Okay, we'll go to that, Sasita, right, after discussing this. So the temp, it is a list which has 23, 45, 2, -2, and 0. Then after there is a square bracket again, having a colon, 2 colon. So this means consider the, like you are going to assign to the temp by considering this list and being sliced like this, right? That is what you need to understand, right? So the right, so this is the list which we have to consider, and that list will be sliced like this and then assigned to the temp, right? So how the slicing works? In the slicing operator, what we have here is like 2 dots, 2 and another 2 dots, right? Yeah, I'm getting this feeling the new whiteboard is giving us some hard times. Hold on, let me yeah. And let's hope and pray this is not going to be a problem, right? Okay, so this is the way it is, right? So give me just a second. Yeah, let's see. Okay, so it says colon to colon. Now, why colon to colon? This part, it explains the start, right? And this indicates the end. That means end in index. This indicates the step, right? So here start is not defined. That means you have to start it from the beginning. End is defined as the second index, and step is not defined. So by default, it's going to be 1. So that means, if you can remember, when it comes to a list, we know this has the 0th index, this has the first index, this has the second index. So it should go from 0 to 1, not to the second, right? That is the nature of the Python. If they say you have to stop from this index, the slicing will end 1 before that index. Right? එතකොට දෙකෙන් නවත්තන්න කිව්වොත් එකෙන් නවතින්නේ. පහෙන් නවත්තන්න කිව්වොත් හතරෙන් නවතින්නේ. Right? So that means 23 and 45. 23 and 45 will be considered according to this particular slice. Right? And again, it's going to be assigned as a list, as a small list. Right? So it's going to be the second one, the answer for the 31st. Right? So let us check 31st. Yeah, it's the second one. People, is that clear? Okay. Right, moving to the 29th. In case if you want to write this, I'll give you a minute. Okay, so I'm moving to the 29th, since Sasita was requesting that. Yeah, in 29, we have the algorithm represented by the following flowchart reads 5 numbers and prints the sum of them. So A, B is vacant here. In order to execute the above flowchart correctly, A and B should be replaced by, there is a blank, so we have to find what is there for A and B. So the program is made up for what? To read 5 numbers and prints the sum of them, right? Now, if it needs to read 5 numbers, this is the place where it reads the 5 numbers, right? And you can see the totaling part is happening as well. And the increment of the I is also going to happen, right? So that means, now this is only for 5 numbers. So we have to count the numbers and see whether the program has received 5 or not. So this particular condition will check that whether the numbers are given in 5, like given 5 in number, right? So the total count, whether the count is equal to 5 or not, right? So B is definitely going to do something with 5, right? And the next one, when you are having an increment element like this in your flowchart, this I needs to be initialized, right? So this is the place where the I is going to be initialized. Right? So I must be initialized. Then the value of I should be something to do with 5. Now here the answers are tricky because everything related with the 0 and the 1 and the 5. Right? So for that we have to check some values and hand trace it. So let's go with the first one. I equals 0. So if here, if they take I equals 0, then the condition is I less than or equal 5. If that is the condition, let's see what is going to happen. So I is over here. So it is 0 for the moment. Then they have take dot. It is also equals to 0. Right? So then what they are going to do is they are checking whether I is less than or equal 5. Now B means 5. Right? So yes, I is less than 5. So read the value for X. So let's say we'll take some values. So let's say X is taken as 10. Okay. So then total will be total plus X. So 0 plus 10 is 10. Right? I will be increased by 1. So I will be 1. Goes again and checks the condition. I is less than or equal 5. It is. So it read a value for X again. So it's going, I'm going to give 20. So then this happens, dot equals dot plus X, 10 plus 20 is 30. Then I will be increased. So I will become 2. Right? Then again checks the condition. Still it is less than 5. So it read a value again for X. So I'll give 30. Dot equal dot plus X. So that means this is going to happen. So 30 plus 30, it's going to be 60. And I is increased by 1. So 2 will become 3. Then again checks the condition. Still it is less than 5. So read another value. So I'm going to give 40. That means this is happening. Then total equal total plus X going to happen. So 60 plus 40 will gives you 100. Then I will be increased by 1. So 3 become 4. Right? Then it checks again. I is less than or equal 5. It is less than 5. So it takes another value. So I'm giving 50. So the dot equal dot plus X is happening. 100 plus 50 is 150. And I is going to increase. It is 5. Right? And we are going to go and check the answer. Check the condition now. As you can see, we have taken 5 values so far. 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. And again, we have the sum of all 5 numbers as the top. Right? So according to our assumption, we are going with the first answer's conditions, right? And the values. According to that condition, still the condition feels true. I is less than or equal 5 still. It is not less than, but it is equal. So if it is equal, it's going to read the value for X again. That means you are going to read a 6th value. And then that 6th value will be added to the total. That means you are going to create a new total over here. Then I will be increased. So I will become 6. Then when the condition is checking, it is wrong. And again, we will be getting a logical error. Why? Because this program is meant to read 5 numbers, take the total of it, and print the total. So if we have the condition as less than or equal, then it's going to give us a problem, right? So for that reason, we have to get rid of this equal sign, right? Right, then we will be getting the answer we need. Excuse me for a moment. Right. Sorry for that, Lamai. So as we discussed, we don't really need our hand tracing part leads into these squares. මෙතනට ආවා කියලා කියන්නේ 6 වෙනි නම්බර එකක් ඇවිල්ලා එයාවත් සම් එකට එකතු වෙලා එයාව අපේ උත්තරයට බලපෑමක් කරනවා කියන එක. So because of that, I less than or equal 5 වෙනුවට we have to use what? I less than 5. Right? And I equal 0 is okay. So then it should be I less than 5. Right? So according to that, yeah, we are not getting any answer regarding that. Can you see that, people? I 0 when I less than 5 when answer එකක් නැහැ. Then how we can change this? If this is not going to work, hold on a second. So if this is not going to work, then we can change it like this. I is making as 1. Then I should have less than or equal 5. මොකද I බිඳුවෙන් පටන් ගන්නකොට when I becomes 5, all 5 numbers had been read. When I starts from 1, then when I is equals to 5, that means the 6th number should be read as well. Right? I බිඳුවෙන් පටන් ගත්තම ඉවර වෙන්නේ 5න් නම් එකෙන් පටන් ගත්තොත් එයා ඉවර වෙන්න ඕනේ 6ට ගිහින්. Right? I less than or equal 5 තිබ්බම 6ට යනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ ස්ක්වයර් එක achieve කරනවා අපි. equal එක තිබ්බම. Right? So for that reason we can go for I equal 1 and I less than or equal 5. So because of that we can take the fourth one as the answer. Sasit, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Right. So then we are going to move to the 33rd. right? So the 33rd, it says, which of the following is the most appropriate example for manual temporary data store, right? Now, when it comes to the data stores, we have 4 types of data stores. What are those? We indicate D for digital, right? We indicate D for digital. Now, digital means what? Some data store which is existing in digital format, right? In most of the cases, the files inside a computer considered as a digital data store, right? Or files in some particular device like a mobile phone or a tablet or a particular electronic device, we can consider them as a digital data store. Then we use M to indicate manual. So manual data store means what? Any kind of a book, any kind of a physical file which contains the details, a logbook kind of things, those are called manual data stores. And this D and M represents permanent data stores. Digital, it is a permanent digital data store, so it is not a temporary one. M again, manual, it is a permanent manual data store, right? And there are temporary type as well, right? So we use T to indicate digital temporary one. Digital temporary, right? And we use T, and within brackets we use M to indicate manual temporary one. Right? So what are the digital temporary files? Now, when we are working with some softwares, it creates temporary files in our computer. So those can be straight away considered as a digital temporary files. And if we are maintaining a particular file just for the moment that we want, or like just for a very short amount of period, that can be considered as a digital temporary one, and it should be maintained inside a digital device. Manual temporary things are what? Again, a data store which is not going to contain data in permanent manner. Now, if you take a file cabinet, that is not a temporary data store. It is a manual permanent data store, right? So look at the answers that they have given here. They say a file tray, a cardboard file, a file cabinet, a data file in a hard disk, a temporary data file in a hard disk. So this is the 5th one. It indicates digital temporary file. The 4th one, it indicates digital file. A file cabinet, a manual data store. A cardboard file and a file tray. Right now, cardboard file is also considered as a manual data store, which is a permanent one, right? Because we store the things inside the cardboard files and we put them inside a cabinet, or we keep it on a particular table or something. But when it comes to the file trays, right? So this is something regarding the office works, right? When you, especially when you visit to a government office, on their table they are having 2 types of trays. Okay, ලියලා තියෙන්නේ එන යන කියලා. එන files යන files කියලා. Right? So whatever the files that is going to dispatch from his table at the file tray, which is called YANA data files or YANA files, and on the other tray, those are the files to be considered by that particular person. So file tray is going to be considered as a manual temporary data store, right? So for that reason, first one can be taken as the correct answer, right? It's kind of a tricky, but it's better you consider whether this particular thing is going to hold the details or hold the data permanently or temporary, right? So because of that, 33rd, it's the first one. Okay, so the 35th. So in 35th, it says, which of the following statement is correct with respect to a scanner? A scanner is a software. Definitely, it's going to be a wrong one. It's a software which scans a printed document and converts them into the digital images. The problem is a software, right? Someone can argue, okay, there are scanner softwares as well, right? එතන පොඩි conflict එකක් එන්න පුළුවන් තැනක්, right? But generally we call a scanner is a hardware. So due to that, this can be taken as an incorrect one. We'll consider how it's going to happen. And the second one, a scanner is an output device of a computer, which is not. Scanner is not an output device. It is an input device, right? We use we used to convert a printed document or kind of a document into a digital image and input to the computer. So it is not an output device. Because of that, it is wrong. The optical character reader, OCR, software is an essential component of a scanner. Yeah. Essential means like essential. Essential කියන එකේ ගැටලුවක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. Because not all the scanners have the OCR facility, right? We have a particular OCR devices, or if you take flatbed scanner, a general scanner, it may not contain the OCR facility, right? So saying it is as essential may occur some problem, right? We'll see. A scanner is an input device of a computer. Yeah, now that of course a pretty straightforward one. A scanner is an input device of a computer. And the fifth one, it says scanners are used to store moving pictures in digital form, which is not, definitely, right? So this is wrong. Yeah, so it seems to be the fourth one is the pretty straightforward one. 35th. Yeah, the fourth one. Right, so being essential is the problem in the third answer. Output device is the problem in the second answer. Software is the problem in the first answer. In the fifth one, we can clearly understand scanners are not using to store anything. To store any data, we use storage devices, right? Not the scanners. Scanner is an input device. All right, then 36th. Okay. Which of the following statement is correct with respect to the above relations? So you got two relations. One is book, the other one, yeah, it's the only one relation is there, BN. So BN, title, publisher, version, author 1, author 2, author 3, right? So here they say where BN is a unique code. So BN is a unique code means BN can be work as a primary key, right? Which of the following statement is correct with respect to the above relation? It is in zeroth normal form, first normal form, second in which normal form they are asking about, like when we see as it is, we can see this author 1, author 2, author 3. These things are being repeated. It's the same author, right? So that means unwanted repetition of the columns. So due to that, unwanted repetition of the columns exist means it is not in first normal form. That means it is in zeroth normal form, right? So we can go for the first one as the answer, right? So if some particular relation to be inside the first normal form, it shouldn't have repeat in columns, and it should not have non-atomic data, right? Or in simple words, all the data should be represented in atomic manner, and unwanted repetition of columns must be eliminated. Then it will go to the first normal form. Here, it has unwanted repetition of columns, so we can consider it as zeroth normal form. So for 36th, the first one is the answer. 37th, which of the following can be a candidate key of the above relation? Yeah, now this question says BN is a unique code. It has never mentioned it is the primary key. So to become a candidate key, uniqueness is the essential quality that it should have, right? So definitely BN can be a candidate key. Candidate means the one which is qualified to be a primary key. And the question does not say BN is the primary key. So that means we haven't chosen a primary key so far, right? So because of that, we can say, okay, it says BN is unique. So BN has the qualities of becoming a primary key. So the keys or set of keys which has the quality of becoming a primary key or the quality of uniqueness, they can be considered as candidate keys. So after you can choose, like if you got many candidate keys, you can choose one of them. If you got only one, obviously that candidate key is going to be the primary key anyway. So therefore the 37th, first one should be the answer. Yeah. 38th. Which of the following is correct with respect to the term domain in a relational database? Now, domain is talking about the data types, right? Let's say it is a set of possible names for a table. Not kind of. It is a set of possible names for an attributes. It is a collection of all possible primary keys. Not really. It is a set of all possible values for an attribute, all possible values. It is the collection of foreign keys. Definitely not the collection of foreign keys. It is a set of all possible values for an attribute. No, it is not the all possible values, all possible values. Let's see, domain, it is regarding the data type. So data types straight away related with the attributes. So definitely it is a set of possible names for a table, going to be an incorrect. So second one or the fourth one is going to be the answer. It is a set of possible names for an attribute. It is a set of possible names for an attribute, set of possible names. I think names will be the problem in the second answer, right? It could be the fourth one. 38. Yeah, it's the fourth one, right? So be very careful on these kind of things, right? So names means what? If you take a particular table, you can have those things, the index number, and then the name, address, right? So those can be there, right? So domains are not going to determine these names, right? Domain is going to determine what kind of data. That means what kind of values that is going to exist inside these columns, right? If the index is an integer, it's going to be the integer values. If the name is going to consider it as a text, it's going to have text values. Likewise. So it is always about the values, right? So the second one is wrong due to these names, right? So it is not set of possible names for an attribute. That means they are talking about these things. It is not talking about these things. It's talking about the values. Pretty straightforward when it comes to the data types. So fourth one can be the correct answer. Okay, people, is that clear up to this point? Do you got any questions? Right. Okay, that's good. Right, moving to the 39th. Which of the following Python code segment is syntactically incorrect? Syntactically incorrect. So let's see. The first one, if x larger than 0, colon is there, so that line is correct. Y equals to, it is been indented, so it is correct as well. Second one, if x larger than 0, colon is there, that is correct. Y equals to has been indented, so it is correct as well. Else is there with the alignment of if, so it is correct as well. It has a colon at the end, and y equals 3 are being indented, so it is correct as well. So if x larger than 10, colon is there, that is correct. Y equals 1 indented, that is correct. Then they use else if, it doesn't matter, else if can be used with the alignment of the if. So x larger than 5 and a colon, so that is correct, and y equal to is indented, it is correct as well. If x larger than 10 is correct, y equal 1 is correct, it is indented. L if they have used it, hold on people. I have caught with this. Look at that. We don't have else if kind of things, people. We have L if. So L if is the correct one. So else if is going to give you an incorrect answer, because we don't have anything called else if in Python. Instead of that, we have L if, right? So y equal 2 is correct, else is correct, y equals 3 is correct, right? This one is also correct. If is correct, y equal 1 is indented, then they use the else of that if. Inside the else, they got a nested if. That is also correct, people, right? This is the mistake. There is nothing called else if, there is only L if. So the third one is going to be the incorrect syntax. Okay, so it's a little bit tricky, right? Be careful on those. So the 42nd, yes. Yes, I remember everyone. Like most of the students went wrong with this thing. It is because you are not considering the same level operators from left to right, right? So this says what will be the value of the variable x after executing the following Python statement. So it says 3 minus 4 into 6 divided by 3 plus 12 divided by 4 into 3. So it's pretty easy. You got minuses, pluses, divisions, and the multiplications. So division and multiplications are going to happen first, then the subtraction and the addition, right? So very first we have now we got multiplication over here, division over here, and another division over here, and another multiplication over here. So those 4 are the things which we are going to consider first. Since the division and the multiplication are in the same level, you are going to consider the operator which comes first when you are going from left to right, right? So when you are moving from left to right, this multiplication going to consider as the first one, this division will be considered as the second one, this is considered as the third one, and this is considered as the fourth one, right? So that means how this is going to happen. So 3 minus 4, I'm sorry, this new whiteboard is giving me some hard time. Let me write it again. 3 minus 4 multiplied by 6 divided by 3 plus 12 divided by 4 multiplied by 3, right? So how the things are going to happen? It's going to be 3 minus 4 into 6 will happen first. So minus 24, right? Divide by 3 plus 12 divided by 4 into 3. Then 24 divided by 3 will happen next. 3 minus 8 plus 12 divided by 4 into 3, right? Then 12 divided by 4 will going to happen next. 3 minus 8 plus 3 into 3. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So then 3 into 3 is going to happen. So 3 minus 8 plus 9 is going to happen. Now, minus is going to happen first, then the plus. So 3 minus 8 means minus 5 plus 9. Right? So that means this gives you the answer as 4. Right? So, yeah. And these divisions, people, I have done a major mistake. Divisions will give you the floating values. So 24 divided by 3 is going to give you 8.0. Right? And 12 divided by 4 is going to be 3.0. Right? So this is 8.0. This is going to be 9.0 now, because floating is multiplying with an integer. So floating takes the lead. So this means 5.0 plus 9.0. Right? So that means you are going to have 4.0. Always remember, the division operator produces you a floating point value. It doesn't matter whether you are dividing an integer from an integer, still you are going to have a floating point value. So for that reason, the answer is going to be the fourth one. Right? So for the 42nd, yeah, it is the fourth one. Right? So this is going to be your answer. People, is that clear? Right. Okay, great. All right. So after the 42nd, if you need time to make this clear, okay, take some time and write it down. All right, so I'm going to move forward. After the 42nd, it's the 46th that you have asked. So here comes the 46th. Which of the following is correct with respect to the output of an SQL statement? Okay. It generates an error if no data is available in the table referred in the SQL statement. No, if the data is not inside the table, it won't give you an error. It will give you an empty table, right? So this is wrong. It is always a table. As far as we know, this is true. The order of the attribute in the output should be the same as the order of the attribute in the table definition. No, we can change it when we are writing the SQL statement. If we ask the particular columns, that order will be the output order. That means if your table has index, name, and address, in the select statement, if you said select address, comma, index, comma, name, then your output is going to come address first, index second, name third. But in the original table, index can be the first column, name can be the second column, and address can be the third column. Output is defined by the statement that we are going to write, right? So because of that, third one is wrong. Fourth one, it says output cannot be produced if the primary keys are not defined. No, we have done so many examples, right? Even in our note, we were dealing with a table which does not implies or indicate the primary key. Right? Note එකේ තියෙන අපි අර පාවිච්චි කරපු store information කියන table එකේ අපි primary key එකක් define කරගෙන නෙවෙයි කතා කරන්නේ. Right? We can have the outputs from a table which does not have a primary key. Or only thing is like filtering will be a little bit difficult when we don't have a primary key. Right? We have to go from like several different columns. Right? So due to that, fourth one is wrong. Names of the attributes in the output should be the same as the name in the table definition. Again, we can change that with the table aliases.
I want to swim.
You want to swim? After this class, I will prepare that for you. Huh? Give me 1 hour, right? Names of the attributes in the output should be the same as the name in the table definition. It shouldn't be. We can change it using the table aliases, right? So we can take this as an incorrect one as well. So for the 46th, it's the second one. Yeah, it is the second one. Right, so moving to the 48th. Consider the following table in relational database. Okay, what is the minimum number of SQL statements required to update all the values of the attribute ZScope? Update all the values of the attribute ZScope. That means these values should be changed. That should be changed into the 2.1, right? So only one statement is enough, right? We can use the update statement, right? So we can say update a particular table name, set ZScope equal 2.1. That will be all. That particular statement will update all the values into 2.1 in the ZScope column, right? So you need only this statement, update. If we take this, the name of this table as marks or student, update student, set ZScope equals 1.2. So it will update all the things. People, just a second, the code is not responding. Okay, that is what has happened when I'm writing so many things. Right, so this statement will update the entire column because we haven't specified any where statement. Where statement එකක් තිබ්බොත් තමයි අපිට මේ specific row එකක් හරි rows කීපයක් හරි අපිට manage කරගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ. So when we don't have a where statement, updation will happen to the entire column. Right? So just one statement is enough. In the marking scheme, I remember they have given you 2 answers. Yes, first and the second one. So since like, I don't know, maybe you were getting, maybe the table has 2.1 in the 5th row. They may think about doing this, eliminating the 5th row. Right, anyway, we know using the update statement, just one statement is enough. So it's 1 can be taken as an answer. Even they have given the answer for 2 as well. Right? Okay, the very last question, which of the following Python function is syntactically incorrect? So when we know, like, to define a function, we need the def keyword. So every answer got the def keyword. So that is correct. Then it should have a name. Function should have a name. Everyone is having a name. Here we got fun, 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 and fun. And then it is a must to have brackets. Must to have brackets. It is not a must to have variables inside the bracket, right? But brackets are must. right? So discord brackets, discord brackets, discord brackets, and discord brackets, and this does not have any brackets, the fourth one. So because of that, we can take this as the incorrect answer. All right. The first function is taking two variables called x and y. The second function does not take any variables or does not take any parameters. Third function again have two variables, which is x and y. Right. Fifth answer, it takes a variable. It takes two variables again, x and y. In case if you are not providing a value for y, they take 5 as the default value. Right. But here in the fourth one, the brackets are missing. So because of that, we can take that as a syntactically incorrect one. So the 50th is the fourth answer. Okay. Kovindu, 20 seconds. Okay. Okay. Let's go through and see. 20 seconds. And if you don't have any other questions, just see how many you got out of 50. Kovindu, 20 second එකේ තියෙන්නේ encryption method එක ගැන. There are two types of encryptions, Kovindu. One is called the symmetric encryption, other one is called the asymmetric encryption, right? So for the symmetric encryption, we call it the public key encryption. I'm sorry, private key encryption as well. I'm sorry, this new board is like giving some hard time for me, people. Right? This is called private key encryption as well. Right? And the other one is the asymmetric, asamamitика කියන එක. It is called the public key encryption. So symmetric called private key encryption, asymmetric called public key encryption. Right? So asymmetric කියන්නේ අසමමිතිකයි කියන එකනේ. That means this has two keys. Symmetric, only one key. Right? So here in the question, they are asking about the public key cryptography. That means asymmetric cryptography, right? So these two keys, they got these two keys. One key is called the private key. The other one is called the public key. Right? So public key is there to give for the people who needs to communicate with me. Private key is there to do the encryption. Actually, public key is there to do the encryption. So card ඕනම කෙනෙකුට ඒක encrypt කරලා message එකක් public key එකෙන් එවන්න පුළුවන් මට. In the asymmetric encryption, only the private key has the ability to decrypt the message, which is encrypted by the corresponding public key. Kovindu, concept එක clear ද? Right. Then what they are saying is private key of a person X is given by the function privx and public key is given by the function pubx. private key එක prevex වලින් ගන්නවා, public key එක pubx වලින් ගන්නවා. The first one, it says prevex and pubx should be the same for better security. It shouldn't be the same. එකම එක වුණොත් තේරුමක් නැහැනේ. private key එකේ algorithm එකයි public key එකේ algorithm එකයි දෙකම එකක් වුණොත් encrypt කරන එකෙම decrypt කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. Right, that is the case which happens in the symmetric encryption. Symmetric encryption වල තියෙන එක key එකයි ඒ key එකෙන් encrypt කරන්නත් පුළුවන්, decrypt කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. Better security is given with the asymmetric key encryption. Right? So because of that, first one is wrong. Statement B says a message encrypted using pubx can be decrypted using pubx. A message encrypted using pubx can be decrypted using pubx. Again wrong. Pubx වලින් encrypt කරන්න පුළුවන්, but decrypt කරන්න we need prevex, not the pubx. The person X knows both prevex and pubx. Yes. The මම නම් asymmetric free encryption communicate කරන්න උවමනා වෙන්නේ මම තමයි algorithm දෙකම create කරන්නේ. pubx එකයි prevex එකයි. මම pubx එක දෙනවා ඕගොල්ලෝ හැමෝටම මට message එවනකොට මේ encryption key එක පාවිච්චි කරලා encrypt කරලා එවන්න. So I have the prevex only for myself. So I will decrypt and see what's the message is. So because of that, we can take C is the only answer, only statement which is considered to be true. Got it, Kavindu? Right, great. Okay, so people, how's the mark? Out of 50? On Ellie, that's a very good mark, Dua. Right, so keep it up. Right, search for the places where you have went wrong, people. How about others? Kovindu, okay. It's better you improve into the 40s, Kovindu. Right, it's a good mark, but it's better you improve, right? වර්ධින ටික නිතරම learn කරන්න කොතනද මගේ වැරදුනේ ඇයි මට වැරදුනේ කියන්නේ. Right? Yes, others? Yes, Sasit, Ranudi, Januda. How about the marks? Januda, you have to right. Okay. Ranudi and Sasit. Okay, Sasit, yes. Now learn the mistakes, Buddha. Right? There are things for you to cover up, right? Anudi, how about your marks, though? No problem, Ranudi. Ranudi, how was the mark? How many is correct out of 50 dua for the MCQ paper? Oh, that's good. That's good, Dua. So you have to improve, like learn the mistakes, Dua. So 45 up karna tanata piyamu hamoma. Then it will be very easy for you to score an A, right? Okay. So moving to the structured paper. So in the first one, it is asking state the operation of each HTML code segment given below. Assume that all the images and HTML documents are in the same folder, right? So the first one says ahref cover page.jpg target equals underscore blank, then cover page, then A is there, right? So what kind of an output that they are going to have? Hold on a second, people. I'll take this to the whiteboard so that will be easier for us. Okay, now how we are going to have this? No, not text. Okay, that's not good. Hold on, people. I'm facing some problems over here. Okay, now that's very bad. They're not allowing us to take the yes, I don't know why. Seems the early version is better than this. Okay, never mind. We'll go from that and we'll draw it using the annotator. Okay, so the output is going to be kind of like this. In the page, you will see a word called cover page. by underlining it, so it is working as a link, right? So this is going to be your output, right? Once you click on this, the cover page.jpg is going to open, and it's going to open in a new window. Why we are saying it is open in a new window? Because this underscore blank value under the target attribute will allow you to open it in a new window, right? So if the target is mentioned as underscore blank, that means a particular resource that is going to open in a new window or a new tab, right? So that should be in your answer, right? So here the way that you can find the answers: when clicked on cover page, the image name coverpage.jpg is displayed or opened on a new tab or in a new window, right? So that is going to be the answer. So you should have that facts, right? When clicked on the cover page, the image name coverpage.jpg is displayed or opened on a new tab, right? So underline keywords must be included in your answer. Then you can have the full marks for that. Hold on for a second, please. Right. So 1 mark is given if the explanation goes correctly, right? Then the second one says ahref content.html content/a. Again, the anchor tag, right? So once the content word is clicked, content.html should be open. This is going to be on the same window, not on a new window, right? So it says when click on the content, the document content.html is displayed or open on the same window or on the same tab. Right, so if you have that idea given with these keywords, you can have 1 mark for that. If you got any problem regarding this, you can send me the answer so I can go through and tell whether you get the whole marks or not. Right. Okay, then the third one, href figures.html target, it has underscore self, and in between anchor tags you had img src equals figures.jpg. Now here, when you load the web page, you will see an image on the web page, right? So this is the figure.jpg. And this is a clickable image. Once you click it, then this figures.html is going to open on the same window. This underscore self is the default value for the target. It indicates the same window, right? So it's going to open on the same window when it is being clicked, right? So the answer should be like this. I'm sorry. Right? When clicked on the image figures.jpg, the document figures.html is displayed or open on the same window. So it is specifically given 2 marks. Right. Okay. People, you have to excuse me for 2 minutes, right? I'll come quickly. Meanwhile, you may go through the answers that you have written for the part 1B and part 1C, right? I'll be right back, people. Right. Sorry for that, people. Right. So in the part B, you have asked with the question, which of the three mechanisms used to apply styles to HTML element increases the maintainability of a website? Right? So they are talking about the website, the entire website. So it's definitely, it should be the external style sheets, because external style sheets are the style sheets which can apply to many different web pages. So website means, it's a collection of web pages, right? So if you are going to maintain a website with the help of a CSS, it should be an external CSS, because internal and inline are just affecting to that particular page or for that specific element, right? So the answer for that is going to be external style sheet. Either you can say external or external CSS, right? Anyhow, you are going to have 1 mark. And only I received your answers, Dua. Let me check that. Hold on. Yes, Dua, you can have the marks for all 3 things, Dua. Yeah, Dua, in the second and the third part, it's better you say it is happening on the same window or same tab, right? Yeah, in the third one, you have said it is open in the same window document, but not in the second one. It's better you say that, right? Okay. So part C, in the part C, what they are asking is, consider the following HTML code segment. So they have given a particular HTML code segment, and they ask, write the internal style sheets required to apply the following styles for the element in the above code segment. So H2, for the H2 elements, color should be red. The font type should be center aligned, right? Font should be center aligned, text should be center aligned. And for paragraph, the font is going to be Courier New and 14 points high, right? So you can write it in many different ways. Here they have given, so you should have, since it is saying internal style sheet, you should have this in your answer script, right? This style. This is not necessary, but if you are going to use a type, then text/CSS must be there, right? No, Kovindu, eka වැරදි නෑ. Kovindu, CSS/text කියන එකේ ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවා. It should be text/CSS, right? Eka පොඩ්ඩක් පරිස්සමින්, right? Then you can say, what you can simply do is take the H2 element, use curly braces like this, and say color : red semicolon, text align : center semicolon, right? And for the paragraph, again, P tag is taken, font - family : Courier New, font - size : you can use either the PX or the PT, right? But you must have a unit. You can't just keep it as 14, right? or else you can write, it has a shorthand method. So for paragraph, font colon 14px and courier new semicolon. Shorthand එක ලියනකොට අපිට ඔක්කොම ටික එකේ ලියන්න පුළුවන්. Right? And specifically when you use courier new, there should be these double quotes because courier new is 2 words. So when we are having 2 words as a value, property value, it should be limited with double quotes, right? So this should be there, this should be there, right? So see whether you got it correctly. And for the first part, they have given 3 marks. I'm sorry, they have given 2 marks for this part and another 2 marks for this part. And for these styles, it's just 1 mark for style tags. Right? And see how much you got, how many of you got out of 10. Yes, only, no problem. Just style open tag and the closing tag will be sufficient to it, right? You don't need the style type equal text slash CSS. Just style is enough. Kovindu, for the 1A part, let me show you. Yeah. 1 mark for the Roman number 1, 1 mark for the Roman number 2, and 2 marks for the Roman number 3. Right. So moving to the second question, it is regarding e-commerce. So in the second one, yeah. So is this, yeah, okay, PayPal thing. Assume that the camera you have been using so far is no longer needed since you have received a latest camera as a gift. A friend suggested that your old camera could be sold on the internet. Consequently, you were able to sell the camera to a buyer in an African country through a website. You receive the payment made by the buyer through the service like PayPal. Right? So now here they're asking, state an example for each C2C and B2C e-commerce types with respect to the above transaction. So C2C is the consumer to consumer, B2C is the business to consumer, right? So consumer to consumer answer, you can, or like in the scenario that I am selling my camera to the African buyer, right? Through online or via online or through internet, through the website, right? So this should be clearly mentioned, people. That's why I was repeating all the times, right? So C2C, this says I sell my camera online or through internet or website through website to an African buyer. So the two parties are mentioned clearly. How the transaction is happening is mentioned clearly, right? So if it illustrates clearly, 2 marks is given, right? So B2C, I am receiving the payment through PayPal electronically, right? They have given marks for the paypal.com as well, but it's better you illustrate it clearly. PayPal is a business. That is the business which taken care of the payment to be received by my side, right? So when I send the, like when the order is placed, when the African buyer is paid the necessary amount, PayPal will collect it. Then from the PayPal, I'm going to receive it, right? So business to consumer transaction will be PayPal is letting me have my money, or like PayPal is from the, like I am withdrawing money, or like I am receiving the money through the paypal.com. So paypal.com is a business. I am a consumer. So it is business to consumer. Right? So it is given 1 mark. Right? So the second part, why is a service like PayPal necessary for this type of transaction? So basically, it is to assure the transaction security, right? Yeah. Already I received your answer. Let me see. Yes. Let's go through this. The to secure the payer's sensitive data, the security, guarantee for the delivery and the payment to the seller. Yes. Yeah. So with those facts, to secure the payer sensitive data, guarantee for the delivery and the payment for the seller. Yes. Yeah. Now, according to these factors on AD, you can collect 2 marks though. You have talked about the safety and yeah, and you have talked about indirectly about the delivery. So you may go with 1 or 2 mark දුව. වඩා හොඳයි verse පැත්තට තියලා අරගත්තොත් 1 mark කියලා. Right? So we should talk about the delivering part and the payment receiving part as well. Right? And Kovindu, I received your answers as well. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, Kovindu, C to C, you can have the marks. And they have clearly said if you don't have I or any other particular character, they ask to reduce 1 mark. So for C to C, you have to reduce 1 mark. Not 2 marks is given for you, only 1 mark. And B to C, yeah, B to C is entirely correct. So you can take 1 mark for that. And for part B, yeah, again, you can collect 1 mark, Kovindu, because you have talked about the security matter and the guarantee of the delivery and the payment to the seller is happened. It is not been mentioned here. You have talked about the payment as well. Yeah, you can take 2 marks. Take 2 marks. Right. Okay, so you should talk about the security, the guarantee of delivering, and the payment is being made to the seller without a problem. And in the third part, they are asking, some internet users are reluctant to buy goods online from individual sellers. State 2 reasons for this reluctance and give an example for each. All right. So you should concentrate that they are telling something about buy goods online from individual sellers. They have specifically take or narrow the area to the individual sellers, right? So if it is a company, then the reliability factor will go up. When it comes to the individual sellers, reliability is less. අපි දන්නේ කවුද මේක විකුණන්නේ ඇත්තටම මෙයාට අයිති එකක්ද, right? මේක genuine දෙයක්ද නැත්නම් මොකක් හරි මේක damage වෙච්ච එකක් මට බොරු කියලා විකුණන්න හදනවද? So those type of thoughts will be there, right? So the factors that they have take reliability. You may not get the item at all. You may not get the item you have ordered. You may get a poor quality item, right? And the security problems. Like since they have to provide the credit card details and all these things, some other third party can hack that or like can rob it as well. And the privacy. So you have to reveal yourself to a third party where you who you really don't know about, right? So the personal details, contact numbers, and all these things will be exposed, right? So those kind of factors can be taken, right? So what they're asking how many? Only 2 reasons, right? So yeah, and again they are yeah. So they talk about the fact and they talk about the examples. So in your answers, Kovindu, for the C, yeah, quality of the goods cannot be assured. Safety and confidentiality cannot be guaranteed. Yes, you can take the marks. And yeah, the problem is, Kovindu, you have to give some examples regarding this. The quality of the goods cannot be assured. Then as an example, you will be receiving poor quality items, right? So the safety and the confidentiality cannot be guaranteed. As an example, your sensitive details like credit card numbers can be stolen by some other third party. Likewise. Got it, Kovindu? So you can take only 2 marks for this, right? You have told the reason without the examples. And only about your answer, let me see. There may be no guarantee of the receiving the exact product if you order a book. Yeah. Yes, though you can have full marks because you have given both the fact and the example. Okay, yes. You can collect all 4 for the third part. Right. So see how many you got out of 10. Right, great. Okay. So moving to the third question. So they have given a particular system and asking us to deal with that. So they have this space station, and they are saying they take hydrogen and oxygen by splitting the water, which is the H2O, and then later with by mixing that with the carbon dioxide, which is breathed out from the astronauts, they create H2O and methane, right? So they said generated methane is removed by the charcoal filter. And here, since they are talking about removing, they haven't clearly mentioned whether they are removing it from the space station or whether they are containing it on a separate containers, right? So here they are asking, state whether the system describes about is open or closed. Give 2 reasons for your answer. So here with the given facts, we can tell this as a closed system because H2O is separated within the system, and that output is also again used inside the system, right? So the argument that they have made is here, input is available within the system, water is there inside the system in the space station, and the output is released to the system again, because they use oxygen and hydrogen. They release the oxygen and hydrogen to the system, right? So water is within the system, that means input is within the system. After the process, the output is also released to the system, right? So those are the 2 facts that we can say this is kind of a closed system, right? Okay. Then the B part. State 2 possible problems faced by an information system having a relational database in 0 normal form. Yeah. So you can say many different answers. You can have accuracy problems, you can have efficiency problems, right? Yeah, they have said duplication is not an answer. Yeah, data duplication. Hold on, why they have said duplication is not an answer? Hold on, state 2 possible problems faced by the information system having a relation database in 0 normal form. Data duplication. No, duplication can be taken. Redundancies also can be taken as an answer. It's okay only. You can take marks for that. Take 2 marks for that. Right? And here inaccuracy, or like the accuracy problem, efficiency problems, right? 3B. Yeah, inaccuracy, inefficiency, data redundancy, right? Duplications, those kind of things can be considered. Right, in part C, for that they have given 2 marks for the 2 factors. In part C, assume that the human brain is a system. Compare and contrast a human brain and a computer-based information system. Yeah. So compare and contrast means you have to say the similarities as well as the differences. Right. So for the comparison, they said both are IPO systems. IPO system means input process output kind of system. So we take the inputs from the sensors of ours and we process it from the brain and we act upon that. So input processing output is happening in the brain as well. So inside the information system happens the same thing. If in case if we name something as a system, every system going to have input process output model, right? So regarding the contrast part, human brain is more intelligent than an information system or any other acceptable reason, right? So that's why I told you the similarities, the differences should be there, right? So information system is a non-intelligent system. Human brain is an intelligent system, right? So likewise, you can go with your answers. On Nelly, about your answer, hold on. Computer-based information system is faster than human brain. However, computer-based information system has no sensitivity or feeling which human brain has. By the way, both human brain and computer-based system works upon the input received from the external environment. Yeah, though the first fact is kind of making a trouble because computer-based information system is faster than human brain. Faster. Yeah, we can take about the faster factor. Yeah, you can take the marks too. No worries, right? Take 2 marks, no problem. Okay, so see how much you got out of 10, right? Okay, in the 4th question, it is talking about a Python program. Now, this kind of things can happen, people, right? Python can be there in this structure. And recently they are trying to put a Python question in the structure paper, right? Okay, Kovindu, hold on. So marks are like this, Kovindu. For the part A, for saying about closed system, 2 marks. Mentioning about inputs, 2 marks. Mentioning about the outputs, 2 marks. So 6, huge 6 marks are given to that. And for the problems, 1 mark each. And for the comparison and the contrast, again, 1 mark each. Okay. Right, in the last question of the structured paper, what they are asking is, I'm sorry. What would be the output of the above program when executed? Justify your answer. So it says print the sum of integers from 1 to 5, including 1 and 5. That is a comment. They said total equals 0, I equals 1. Then the while condition has I less than or equal 5. Right? So I is less than or equal 5, yes. Then total equals total plus I is there. Right? So total will I will be added to the total and reassigned to the total again. Now the problem is, now if we hand trace it, total is equals to 0, I is equals to 1. So I is less than or equal 5, it is total equals total plus I. So 0 plus 1 is 1. Then once it reach here, it goes back and check the while condition because it is the only statement which is being indented. So it is the only statement which is considered as inside the while structure. So it always keep going and updating the total. Now total is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2. So goes back and check again, I is less than or equal 5 because I's value is not going to change. So 2 will become 3. Likewise, it will go, it will never end. And since we are not printing anything inside the while loop, you won't be seeing anything on the screen because I equal I plus 1 is at the outside of the while loop and program does not reach this statement because this loop is a never ending loop. It's not going to end because I is always 1. I is always 1 means condition is always true. Condition is always true means iteration happens always. It's not going to stop. Right? So you can say it doesn't show any output because it has a never ending loop. Right? So as the answers, this is how it says. Nothing or no output, it has a never ending loop. That is the reason. Right? So later, for that, for saying the output is nothing, 1 mark. Saying that is never ending, 1 mark is given. So later it is asking modify and rewrite the above program without increasing the number of statements to compute the sum of integers from 1 to 10, including 1 and 10. So you have to do the amendments, the correct indentation to have the correct output. So what you have to do is you have to change the value over here of the condition as well as take this statement right over here. Right? So that brings you this answer. Total equals 0, I equal 1, while I less than or equal 10. This is a 1 place. Right changes. And then I equal I plus 1 is inside the while loop. Then printing is always, according to this program, is at the outside the while loop. Right? So 2 marks to figuring out the condition, 1 mark to taking the I equals I plus 1 into the while loop. So altogether 3 marks are given. Right? So as the last part, it is talking about some particular calculation, right? Yes, it says an embedded system uses 16-bit wide address bus to access its byte addressable main memory. What is the maximum usable size of the main memory? So it's easy. It's 2 to the power 16, right? So they haven't asked it from any kilobytes or gigabytes or whatever the thing. So you can say it's just 2 to the power 16 bytes, right? Or you can say it is as 64 kilobytes by taking out 2 to the power 10 out of 2 to the power 16. Right? So it's better you go with some steps like this, right? Or else at least, it's better you say maximum usable size of memory is 2 to the power 16. This particular thing, at least. Right? So then you have, if you are mentioning it with 2 to the power, so it's better you say bytes. Right? So at least you should have this line with this answer. Right? And it's better you say maximum usable size of memory is equal to 2 to the power total number of bits in the address. So it clears out how the computation happens. The computation so those things can be avoided by introducing that kind of equations. Right? So you can take 2 to the power 16 bytes. All right, so that gives you 4 marks, which concludes your structured paper, right? So see how much you got out of 10 and see how much you got out of 40 and let me know as well. All right, that's very good on Ellie. How about others? Yes, others? How was it? Kovindu, Sasit? Kovindu, that's a very good mark. Sasit? Okay. You have to work more, Sasit, right? See what other things it went wrong, right? Okay, so I'll end the session from this point, people. So by next week, we'll discuss the second paper, as well as if we got the time, we'll go to the 2017, right? So get ready with that as well, right? So keep doing the things, people. Now, since the exam dates are being finalized, let's hope and pray it's not going to go further than this, right? So you got 2 more months, right? If you disregard the November, right? So it's only 2 more months. So get ready, right? Okay, people. So I'm going to end the session from here, right? So thank you very much. All right. Okay.